It is late at night. You are lying in bed, and the only light in the room is the one on your face. Your thumb moves before you decide to move it. Then a stranger you have never met explains something you have been carrying for months. Why you keep losing the same argument with someone you love. Why your private anxiety might not really be your fault. Why the people who disagree with you may not just be wrong but dangerous. You do not check his name. You do not check his sources, but something in your chest relaxes, not because you found the truth, because you found a sentence that made the pain feel organized. If this has happened to you, it does not mean you are careless. It means you are human, and that is where the trap begins. Sometimes the most dangerous lie online is not the one that fools you. It is the one that comforts you. The one that tells you exactly who to blame. The one that makes a confusing world feel simple again. The one that makes you feel awake while everyone else seems asleep. This is the uncomfortable part. You may not believe it because it is true. You may believe it because it finally gives you the feeling you wanted. False information does not only spread by tricking people. It often spreads by giving people something emotionally useful. Certainty when reality is unclear. Anger when sadness feels too vulnerable. Belonging when loneliness becomes hard to bear. Superiority when life has made us feel powerless. Sometimes, a false story gives us a version of the world that flatters who we already think we are. Truth usually does not work that way. Truth is often slow. Truth is incomplete. Truth asks you to wait, compare, doubt, and revise. Truth may tell you that the people you dislike are not entirely wrong, or that the people you trust are not entirely innocent. Truth may not give you a clean enemy. It may not give you a perfect explanation. It may not make you feel better today. A lie does not have to carry that burden. A lie can arrive clean, beautiful, confident, and emotionally complete. More than 2,000 years ago, Lao Tzu wrote a sentence that feels almost designed for this age. Sincere words are not beautiful. Beautiful words are not sincere. He was not saying that every beautiful sentence is false. He was warning us that truth does not always arrive in the form our desires prefer. Sometimes truth is plain. Sometimes it is awkward. Sometimes it refuses to flatter us. But the internet has trained us to expect information to feel good. It should confirm something, expose something, blame someone, prove something about us. And this is where the problem becomes deeper than misinformation. The problem is emotional convenience. The Reuters Institute's 2026 digital news report found that, across its surveyed markets, social media and video networks have become more widely used for news than television or news organizations' own websites and apps. It also found that global trust in news has fallen to 37%, the lowest level Reuters has recorded since it began measuring trust in 2015. At the same time, concern about fake news online has risen to 62%. So the contradiction is not imaginary. People are more worried about what is real and fake online, while relying more on platforms they often trust less. But this does not mean traditional media is always right. It does not mean creators are always wrong. And it does not mean the answer is to let someone else think for you. It means the modern mind is living inside a strange tension. We distrust the information environment, but we keep returning to it because it is fast, emotional, and always there. Lao Tzu did not live in the age of thumbnails, recommendation feeds, and endless video. But he understood something older than any technology. Too much stimulation can damage perception. In the Tao Te Ching, he says that too much color can blind the eyes. Too much sound can deafen the ears, and too much flavor can dull the taste. This is not a prediction of the internet. It is a diagnosis of human attention. Think of what happens after 20 minutes of scrolling. You may not remember the first video, or the 7th, or the 13th. But something remains in the body. A little anger, a little fear, a little excitement, a little certainty. The content disappears, but the emotional weather stays. When everything becomes louder, brighter, faster, and more emotionally charged, we do not necessarily see more clearly. We may become easier to move. A calm fact feels weak beside a shocking claim. A careful explanation feels boring beside a 30-second video that tells you what to feel. The feed does not only compete for your attention, it competes for your emotional state. And once a piece of content gives you the right emotional state, the question, "Is this true?" can arrive late. Some part of you has already accepted the reward, the anger, the relief, the feeling that you see what others cannot. This is why correction often feels like an attack. Imagine you send a video to a friend. You do not write much, maybe just, "This explains everything." Your friend replies carefully. They say the clip is missing context. They send a source. They do not insult you. They do not mock you, but your body reacts before your mind does. Your jaw tightens. Your chest gets hot. You feel the need to defend yourself, because it no longer feels like they challenged a video. It feels like they challenged your judgment, your anger, your side, your private sense that you finally understood what was happening. That is how a story becomes more than information. It becomes identity. This is why just check the facts is necessary, but not enough. Fact-checking can correct a claim, but it cannot answer the hunger that made the claim attractive. Lao Tzu points to this hunger in another line. The great way is level and easy, but people love the side paths. This may be the deepest description of the online trap. The plain road is usually available. Wait. Read more than one source. Notice whether the content is asking you to think or only asking you to feel. Notice whether it gives you information or only gives you an identity. None of this is mysterious, but it is not as satisfying as the side path. The side path is quick. It gives you a shortcut from confusion to certainty. It lets you skip the discomfort of not knowing. It lets you turn complexity into identity. It lets you say, "Now I understand everything." And that may be exactly why it is dangerous. Not because every alternative view is false, not because every mainstream source is pure, not because every emotional reaction is wrong, but because the desire for a satisfying story can quietly become stronger than the desire to see clearly. Lao Tzu's answer is not to become cold, cynical, or suspicious of everything. That is only another side path. The answer is to become more honest about what information is doing inside you. When a video makes you furious in 5 seconds, pause. When a post makes reality feel too simple, pause. When a claim fits your identity so perfectly that you want it to be true before checking it, pause. This sounds small. It is not. The pause is not a lack of method. It is the method. Because the disease is not only false information, it is the demand for instant certainty. The pause interrupts that demand. It creates one quiet space between the stimulus and the self. Ask a different question. Not only is this true, but why did this feel so good? What did it give me? Certainty, permission to hate, relief from confusion, a tribe, a version of myself that feels more awake than other people. This pause is not weakness. It is the beginning of freedom, because the easiest person to manipulate is not the ignorant person. It is the person who cannot bear uncertainty. The person who needs every event to become a story. The person who needs every story to prove who they are. To return to truth online, we may need more than better information. We may need a different relationship with discomfort. We may need to let some questions remain open. We may need to admit that not knowing is sometimes more honest than pretending to know. We may need to give up the small pleasure of being instantly certain. This does not mean withdrawing from the world. It means refusing to let the world inside your phone decide your inner weather every few seconds. It means separating being informed from being stimulated. It means recognizing the beautiful sentence that flatters you, the angry clip that feeds you, the simple explanation that asks for nothing except your belief. Lao Tzu's warning is quiet but severe. Beautiful words are not always true. Too much stimulation can blind the eye. The great way is plain, but people love the shortcut. And maybe that is the real danger of the internet, not that it lies to us, but that it learns which lies we find beautiful. The opposite of a lie is not always another piece of information. Sometimes it is humility. Sometimes it is patience. Sometimes it is the courage to stay with a truth that does not flatter you. And perhaps wisdom begins in that small pause between seeing something and needing it to confirm who you are.